It was a warm summer night when James' life changed forever. He had been mindlessly scrolling through social media, like so many nights before, when he stumbled upon something odd. It wasn't the usual flood of vacation photos, meme wars, or half-baked political rants. No, this was something entirely different. A profile caught his eye. Strange, alien even. The profile picture was a figure shrouded in iridescent colors, shimmering with deep blues and purples, almost like an abstract painting of light and shadow. The username was simple, Zyra of Surlath. The bio read, "From a world far away, learning about yours." At first, he chuckled, thinking it was some elaborate roleplay or creative joke. People on the internet pretended to be all sorts of things: vampires, time travelers, gods, and yes, even aliens. But there was something about Zyra's profile that pulled him in. It felt different. On a whim, with half-amused curiosity, he sent a message. "So, you're really from another planet?" He expected the usual sarcastic reply, maybe a mean or a dismissive response. Instead, a simple reply appeared almost instantly: yes. That one word sent a chill down his spine. It was so straightforward, so sincere. He blinked, then typed back, "Okay, but seriously, where are you really from?" Zyra's response was strange, but it made him pause. "A distant place. Your technology has not yet reached it, but I find your world fascinating." James leaned back in his chair, now completely intrigued. What if, just what if, this wasn't a joke? A connection beyond the stars. Days had passed since James received the mysterious reply from Zyra, and he couldn't shake it from his mind. The rational part of him knew it had to be a prank or someone role-playing, but deep down, something told him this was real, or at least that it could be. Against his better judgment, he messaged her again. "If you're really from another planet, what's it like? Your world, I mean." It was a question that felt too absurd to even ask, but when Zyra responded, her words painted an image that was so vivid, so otherworldly, it was hard to deny her authenticity. "Surlath is nothing like Earth," she began. "Our cities float high above the surface, suspended by a technology your people have not yet imagined. They shimmer in the sunlight, blending into the sky as if they are part of it. Below, the lands are alive with color, forests of bioluminescent trees that pulse with energy. Our oceans, if you can call them that, are vast fields of shifting light, where life forms exist in states you wouldn't recognize, communicating not with sound, but with energy." James stared at his screen, captivated. For a moment, he imagined floating cities, glowing forests, and seas of light. It was like something out of a dream, a science fiction novel made real. He could almost feel the warmth of that alien sun on his skin, the hum of the energy that Zyra spoke of. "But why are you here?" he typed, hesitating slightly. Why would someone from such an advanced world be on a human social media platform? There was a long pause, the kind that made him wonder if he had scared her off, if this game, whatever it was now over. But then her message came through. "Curiosity," Zyra explained. "Your world is so chaotic, yet beautiful in its own way. Surlath has long since solved its problems. There are no wars, no disease, no poverty. We have perfected our existence, but we've lost something along the way. We've forgotten what it means to feel. We no longer understand conflict, or passion, or even love in the way you do. That's why I came here, to learn from your people, to understand the depth of your emotions and the complexity of your lives. It's fascinating, and sometimes overwhelming." James felt a pang of both awe and sadness reading her words. The idea of a perfect world sounded like a utopia, but if it came at the cost of losing the very things that made life vibrant, love, passion, conflict, was it truly perfect? "But how do you even understand our emotions?" he asked, his curiosity getting the better of him. "Aren't we just too different?" Her reply was immediate this time. "We are different, yes, but emotions are universal. Aren't they? You feel, we sense. We may not express them the same way, but we understand the energy behind them. It's like an echo. We can feel the resonance of your emotions, even from across the stars. This idea that emotions could be sensed across galaxies was both thrilling and terrifying. James had never considered the notion that someone, or something, could sense his deepest feelings without even being on the same planet. He had so many questions, but one was burning at the forefront of his mind. Do you feel my emotions? Another pause followed, longer than before. His heart raced as he waited, unsure of what he hoped her answer would be. Finally, Zero responded. Yes, I feel your curiosity, your skepticism, but also your loneliness. It's strange how clear it is, even from this distance. James felt a lump form in his throat. He hadn't expected her to see through him so easily. Loneliness. It was something he had buried beneath years of routine, social media distractions, and the occasional night out with friends, but it had always lingered beneath the surface. How could this alien, who had never set foot on Earth, understand him so well? I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable, Zira continued, as if sensing his discomfort. But your emotions are strong. They stand out, even among the noise of billions of others on your planet. James swallowed hard and typed a reply before he could think too much about it. You're right. I guess I have been lonely. It's hard to connect with people here. Everyone's so focused on themselves, on their own lives and problems. It feels like we're all drifting apart, even when we're physically close. Zira's next message came swiftly. That's what I find fascinating about humans. You live surrounded by billions of others, yet you still feel isolated. On Suolath, we are always connected. Our minds, our thoughts, our emotions, they are all shared in a constant flow of energy. There is no loneliness because we are never truly alone. But that also means we never experience the desire for connection in the way you do. James was silent for a moment, letting her words sink in. The idea of always being connected to others, of never having a single thought to yourself, felt suffocating. But at the same time, he understood the appeal of never feeling alone. That sounds intense, he finally replied. I don't know if I could handle being that connected to everyone all the time. It has its challenges, Zira admitted, but it's all we've ever known. To us, your isolation is just as intense. They continued to talk, their conversation flowing from the differences between their worlds to the shared experiences of existence. James found himself looking forward to their chats more and more, waking up each morning eager to see if Zira had sent him another message. As strange as it was, she had become a part of his life, a presence that filled the void of his loneliness in a way no one else had. But as their bond deepened, so did James' curiosity. He couldn't help but wonder what Zira looked like, what her true form was. The avatar she used was beautiful but abstract, a swirling mass of colors that hinted at something both familiar and alien. He had asked her about it before, but her answers had always been vague. Until one night, he finally gathered the courage to ask a question that had been burning inside him. What would happen if you came to Earth? Could we meet? There was a long silence, longer than any before, and for a moment, James thought she might never reply. But when her message finally appeared, it was not what he expected. If I came to Earth, things would change between us. You need to be sure you want that. James' heart skipped a beat. He had no idea what she meant by that, but one thing was certain. Whatever this connection was, it was about to take a turn he could never have imagined. Zira's arrival. The days following James' question were tense. He replayed Zira's cryptic response in his mind over and over again. If I came to Earth, things would change between us. You need to be sure you want that. He had no idea what that meant, but it stirred a strange mix of fear, excitement, and curiosity inside him. What exactly would change? Would she even look like the being in her profile picture? Did her species even have a physical form, or was she some sort of energy-based life form? His mind raced with questions, but one thing was certain: he needed to know. He had come to rely on her presence more than he cared to admit. She was the only one who truly understood him, even if she was from another galaxy. After a few days of silence, he finally messaged her back. "I want to meet you, Zira. Whatever happens, I want to see you in person." This time, the pause was short. "Very well," she replied, her message as direct as ever. "But you need to prepare yourself. I'm not what you expect." The message sent a shiver down James' spine. What could she possibly mean? His mind raced with possibilities, each one more outlandish than the last. Was she a shapeshifter? Did she have a monstrous appearance? Was she even corporeal? That night, Zira didn't message him again. Nor did she the next morning, or the one after that. James began to worry that he had scared her off. But on the third night, as he lay in bed staring at the ceiling, his phone buzzed on the nightstand. It was a notification, but not from any social media app or messaging platform he recognized. The icon was a simple glowing sphere. Hesitant, James opened it. "Step outside." His heart pounded in his chest. Zira was here. Without thinking, James jumped out of bed, threw on a hoodie, and rushed out of his small apartment. The city was quiet at this hour, with only the occasional distant hum of a passing car or the soft rustle of leaves in the breeze. He looked around, expecting to see something, anything, out of the ordinary, but everything seemed normal. Had he imagined the message? But then, out of the corner of his eye, he noticed something strange in the sky. A faint light, like a star, but much closer, was growing brighter. His breath caught in his throat as the light descended slowly, silently, until it hovered just above the park across the street. It wasn't a spacecraft, not in the way James had ever seen them depicted. It was a sphere of light, pulsating gently with a rhythm that seemed almost alive. As the light dimmed, a figure stepped out from within. At first, James couldn't make out the details. She was still cloaked in the shimmering blues and purples that he recognized from her profile. But as she approached, the colors shifted, revealing more of her form. Zira was tall, taller than any human he had ever met, standing nearly 7 feet. Her skin was not skin at all, but a smooth, semi-translucent material that shimmered in the moonlight, like the surface of a crystal catching the sun. Her eyes were large, deep pools of light that seemed to shift and change with her emotions. There was no mouth, no nose, only those eyes, which glowed with an intelligence that was both alien and familiar. For a moment, James couldn't breathe. She was beautiful, in a way that defied human understanding, otherworldly yet undeniably graceful. "This is me," Zira's voice echoed in his mind, though her form remained still. She wasn't speaking with sound. She was communicating through the same energy she had described before, a connection that bypassed speech altogether. James took a hesitant step forward, his heart racing in his chest. He had imagined this moment so many times, but nothing could have prepared him for the reality of it. Zira's presence was overwhelming, not in a terrifying way, but in a way that made him feel like he was standing in the presence of something far greater than himself. Yet, somehow, he didn't feel small. He felt seen. "You're real," he managed to say, his voice barely above a whisper. "As real as you are," she replied, her glowing eyes never leaving his. For a moment, neither of them spoke, if speaking was even the right word for it. They simply stood there, two beings from different worlds, connected by something James couldn't quite put into words. There was a warmth radiating from her, an energy that enveloped him, calming his racing thoughts and making him feel as if he were floating. He hadn't realized how tense he was until that moment, when the weight of uncertainty melted away. But then Zira took a step closer, and the warmth shifted into something else, something more intense. "When I said things would change, I meant it," she continued, her mental voice growing softer, almost hesitant. "I'm not like the humans you know, James. Our connection is different. Our bonds run deeper than physical relationships. When we connect, it is complete. There is no separation of thought or feeling. It is a union of mind and energy. If I stay here, we will be bound in a way you may not fully understand, and once that bond is formed, it cannot be undone." James' mind swirled with her words. A part of him didn't fully grasp what she was saying, but another part, the part that had felt that strange connection to her from the beginning, understood all too well. This wasn't just a casual meeting. This was a merging of their very beings. "Do you want that?" he asked, his voice shaky. He wasn't sure if he was asking her or himself. Zira took another step forward, closing the distance between them. "I do," she said, her energy brushing against him like a soft breeze. "But you must be sure. Once we are bonded, your thoughts, your emotions, your very essence will be linked to mine. There will be no more loneliness, but there will also be no more separation." The weight of her words hung in the air. James stared into her glowing eyes, feeling the pull of something far greater than himself. It was terrifying, exhilarating, and strangely right. "I don't want to be alone anymore," he admitted, his voice barely a whisper. "I felt alone for so long, and with you, I don't feel that anymore." Zira reached out, her semi-translucent hand hovering just inches from his. Though they didn't physically touch, he could feel her energy surging toward him, wrapping around him like a warm embrace. In that moment, he knew there was no turning back. "Then let us be one," she said softly, and as her energy enveloped him, James felt a rush of emotions, her emotions, flow into him. It was overwhelming, but in the best possible way. He could feel her curiosity, a fascination with Earth, and something else, something deeper. It was the same feeling he had been afraid to name. The same emotion that had been growing between them all this time, spanning galaxies, bridging the impossible distance between their worlds. It was love. The bonding. As the energy flowed between them, James felt his heart pound like never before. The connection with Zira wasn't just emotional. It was primal, something far beyond what he had ever imagined. It wasn't just that they could understand each other's thoughts. It was as if their very beings were fusing together, layer by layer. A surge of warmth flooded through him, followed by an electric spark that danced across his skin. It was as though he was opening parts of himself that he never even knew existed. "What is this?" James asked, struggling to process the sensation. He felt weightless, like his mind was being gently pulled from his body and into something much larger. Zira's glowing eyes met his, her energy wrapping around him in tendrils of light. "It's the first stage of our bonding," she replied softly, her voice echoing in his thoughts rather than through his ears. "Our connection is deepening. You will begin to feel what I feel, understand what I understand." James could already sense it. His thoughts were no longer just his own. He could feel Zira's presence inside him, not intrusive, but gentle, curious, almost as if she was exploring his very soul. He wasn't frightened anymore. In fact, he felt comforted. There was a strange familiarity in the way her energy mingled with his. It was like discovering a missing part of himself, something he didn't even know he had been searching for. But then something shifted. His mind was suddenly filled with flashes, vivid images, not of Earth, but of another world. A world of towering cities suspended in the sky, glowing forests filled with bioluminescent creatures, and a horizon where the sun was a deep purple and the sky shimmered with endless stars. "Is this your world?" James asked, his voice tinged with awe. Zira nodded, or at least he sensed her confirmation. "Yes, you're seeing Luran, my home." The images flickered through his mind like a movie reel, giving him glimpses of Zira's life. He saw her standing on a platform high above the clouds, looking out over her world with a mixture of pride and sadness. He felt the weight of her responsibilities, the isolation of being so far from her people, and the longing she carried deep within her. "I was chosen to study other civilizations," Zira explained, her mental voice calm, but tinged with a sadness James hadn't expected. "Our people are highly advanced, but we lack something crucial, an understanding of what it means to be connected, truly connected, beyond mere energy bonds. That's why I was sent here, to learn about your world, to understand your emotions." James could feel her emotions flooding into him, her curiosity, her loneliness, her fascination with the messy complexity of human life. She had observed humans from afar for so long, but their emotions, their desires, their struggles, these were things her species could barely comprehend. "And you," James began, trying to wrap his head around the enormity of what she was saying. "You've never felt these things before. Love, longing." Zira hesitated for a moment before responding. "Not in the way you do. Our bonds are built on energy, on the connection of minds. We sense each other's thoughts and feelings, but we don't experience them in the way humans do. We don't have the same intensity." Her words washed over James, and for the first time, he truly understood just how alien Zira was. She wasn't just from a different world, she was from a completely different way of being. But despite that, she had chosen to come to Earth, to connect with him in a way that was foreign even to her. "Why me?" James asked quietly. "Out of all the people on Earth, why did you choose me?" There was a long pause before Zira responded. "Because you were open, you were curious, like me. And because you were alone." James felt a lump form in his throat as her words echoed in his mind. She had seen right through him from the beginning, hadn't she? She had known how isolated he felt, how disconnected from the world around him. He had tried to fill that void with social media, with meaningless conversations and fleeting distractions, but none of it had ever been real. None of it had ever made him feel the way Zira made him feel. "You were searching for something too," Zira continued, her voice softening. "And I think we both found what we were looking for." James nodded, tears stinging his eyes. He didn't need to say anything. He knew Zira could feel his emotions as clearly as he could feel hers. The bond between them was growing stronger by the second, and with it came a sense of peace, of belonging that he had never known before. But there was also something else, a growing intensity, a pull that was becoming harder and harder to ignore. James could feel Zira's desire, not just for connection, but for something deeper, something more physical. Her energy was wrapping around him in a way that felt almost intimate, like a gentle caress that sent shivers down his spine. "Are you ready?" Zora's voice was a whisper in his mind, but the question carried weight. This was the final stage of the bonding, the moment where their connection would become irreversible. Once they crossed this threshold, there would be no going back. James took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. He had never felt more sure of anything in his life. "Yes," he whispered. In that instant, Zira's energy surged forward, enveloping him completely. James gasped as the sensation overwhelmed him, like being submerged in warm water that filled every part of him, body and soul. He could feel her, really feel her, inside his mind, inside his heart. Her thoughts mingled with his, her emotions became his, and for a brief, blinding moment, they were one. It was unlike anything he had ever experienced. Every part of him was alive with energy, with emotion, with a sense of connection that went beyond words, beyond physical touch. It was like touching the universe itself, feeling the pulse of existence in every fiber of his being. And through it all, he could feel Zira, her love, her curiosity, her wonder at this new experience. It was overwhelming, but it was beautiful. They were no longer two separate beings, but a single entity, bound together by something far greater than themselves. When the surge finally subsided, James found himself standing in the park again, his body trembling, his mind reeling from the intensity of what had just happened. Zira stood before him, her glowing eyes soft and full of emotion. "We are one now," she said, her voice gentle. "You are part of me, and I am part of you. Forever." James smiled, a deep sense of peace settling over him. He had found what he had been searching for, and so had she. There would be challenges ahead, adjusting to this new bond, navigating the complexities of their connection, but in that moment, none of it mattered. They had each other, and that was enough. As they stood together under the night sky, the stars shining down on them like silent witnesses to their union, James realized that he had never truly been alone. Not anymore. And for the first time in his life, he was exactly where he was meant to be. crossing realities. The world around James seemed to shift as he settled into this new understanding of his bond with Zira. The vibrant hues of the park's night sky, illuminated by the soft glow of street lamps, now felt infused with an otherworldly magic. Each blade of grass shimmered with possibility, as if nature itself was rejoicing in their union. "What happens now?" James asked, still feeling the warm afterglow of their shared experience. Zira smiled, her expression a blend of excitement and serenity. "Now, we explore the depths of our connection. But first, we must navigate the complexities of your world, of Earth. You see, there are things about your society I must understand, and perhaps in sharing these experiences, our bond will grow even stronger." James nodded, his heart racing at the thought of introducing her to Earth. There was so much to show her: the bustling cities, the quiet forests, the wonders of humanity in all its chaotic glory. He thought about how she had glimpsed his emotions and memories, yet nothing could compare to experiencing the vibrancy of life together. "Let's start with something simple," he suggested, his enthusiasm bubbling over. "I want to take you to a place that captures the essence of Earth." Zira's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Lead the way." Together, they walked hand in hand, leaving the park behind. The night air was cool and fragrant, filled with a sense of damp earth and blooming flowers. James took a deep breath, the world feeling alive around him, pulsating with energy he never noticed before. The wonders of Earth. Their destination was a small, local fair that was bustling with activity. As they approached, the sound of laughter and music grew louder, enveloping them in a lively atmosphere. Colorful lights twinkled like stars, and the smell of sweet treats wafted through the air. "What is this place?" Zira asked, her voice tinged with wonder. "It's a fair, a gathering of people to celebrate life, share experiences, and enjoy each other's company," James explained, his heart swelling with pride. "You'll see rides, games, and all sorts of food. It's a little chaotic, but that's part of the fun." Zira's eyes widened as they stepped into the vibrant chaos. The fair was a sensory overload, with children darting about, parents chatting, and couples enjoying sweet treats. James could see Zira absorbing it all, her attention flitting from one spectacle to the next. They wandered through the various stalls, sampling cotton candy that melted in their mouths and trying games that challenged their skills. Zira laughed as she tossed rings at bottles, her laughter infectious and pure. For a moment, James felt as though the weight of the universe had lifted, and they were just two beings enjoying life together, free from the responsibilities and complexities of their worlds. "This is delightful," Zira exclaimed, her eyes sparkling as she clapped her hands together after winning a plush toy from a shooting game. James grinned, feeling a warmth spread through him at her joy. He had never thought about how strange or wonderful this world might seem to someone like her. The fair was filled with sounds, sights, and emotions that were uniquely human, and sharing this experience with her deepened his appreciation for both their worlds. Shared experiences. As the night wore on, they found themselves drawn to a quieter corner of the fair, where a small stage was set up for local musicians. The band was playing a lively tune, and Zira's energy pulsed gently with the rhythm. "I want to show you something," James said, pulling her onto the dance floor where a small crowd was swaying to the music. At first, Zira seemed hesitant, her movements unsure, but James took her hand, guiding her through the rhythm. He felt her energy shift, a wave of excitement washing over her as she began to let go, losing herself in the music. The sight of her dancing, her form lit by colorful lights, was mesmerizing. She seemed to embody the essence of freedom, her movements fluid and graceful. James watched as she twirled, her laughter ringing out, mixing with the melody and surrounding him like a warm embrace. "I can feel the music," Zira exclaimed, her eyes glowing brightly. "It's like a conversation, a connection between us all." James nodded, realizing just how deeply connected they were becoming. As they danced, their energies intertwined, each movement echoing the pulse of their bond. The music wrapped around them, a reminder of the beauty in shared experiences, the depths of connection. As the final song came to an end, James led Zira off the dance floor, both of them breathless with exhilaration. They found a quiet bench under a canopy of twinkling fairy lights, the world around them a beautiful blur. "This is what it means to be human," he said, his voice soft but filled with warmth. "To share moments, to laugh, to experience life together. It's messy and chaotic, but it's also filled with joy." Zira nodded, her gaze drifting toward the shimmering lights. "I see now why you cherish these experiences. They create bonds, memories that last beyond time and space." James watched her, a gentle smile playing on his lips. "Exactly. We find strength in our connections, in the people we choose to surround ourselves with." She turned to him, her expression shifting to something more serious. "And what about us, James? What do we mean to each other?" The question hung in the air, charged with unspoken emotions. James took a deep breath, trying to articulate the complexities of his feelings. "We are something different, something unique. I never expected to feel this way about someone from another world, but it's real. You're real." Zira's eyes sparkled with unshed tears, and James could feel a wave of emotion wash over her. Relief, joy, vulnerability. In that moment, it became clear that their connection transcended mere friendship or curiosity. They were tied together by something profound, something that could shape their destinies. The unseen challenges, but the reality of their situation loomed large. James knew they were still separated by the vastness of the universe, by the barriers of culture and experience. "What happens if your people come looking for you?" he asked, a knot forming in his stomach. "What if they want you back?" Zira's gaze turned serious, her energy pulsing softly. "I have responsibilities, yes, but I cannot ignore what I have found here. I have a choice, and I will make it. My heart is here with you, James." His heart soared at her words, but fear also settled in. The complexities of intergalactic relationships were daunting. He had no idea how her world would react to her bonding with a human. Would they understand? Would they accept their connection? As if sensing his anxiety, Zira placed a hand on his shoulder, grounding him. "We will figure it out together. I will not let distance or difference tear us apart." James nodded, his resolve strengthening. They were allies in a battle neither had expected to fight. The universe was vast and filled with mysteries, but as long as they had each other, they could face whatever came their way. As they sat in the fading light of the fair, surrounded by laughter and life, James knew that this was only the beginning of their adventure. Together, they will explore not only each other's worlds, but also the very essence of connection, an experience that could transcend space and time. With renewed determination, they rose from the bench, ready to dive deeper into the unpredictable journey ahead, hand in hand, hearts entwined. The stars above twinkled as if cheering them on, a reminder of the infinite possibilities that lay before them. Secrets of the cosmos. As dawn approached, James and Zira strolled through the remnants of the fair, the bright lights fading as the sun began to rise. The night's revelry had transformed into a serene quietude, a stark contrast to the vibrant energy of just hours before. The world felt different now, charged with an unspoken promise and new possibilities. "What's next for us?" James asked, glancing sideways at Zira, whose face glowed softly in the early morning light. "Now that we understand each other a bit better, we can explore deeper questions about our worlds," she replied, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "I want to learn more about your culture and share more about mine, but there's also something else I've been considering." James felt a thrill run through him. "What is it?" "I want to show you a glimpse of my world," Zira said, her voice laced with excitement. "It's unlike anything you could imagine, filled with wonders that challenge the very fabric of reality." A journey beyond. James's heart raced at the thought of visiting another planet. He had spent countless nights dreaming of the stars and imagining what lay beyond the skies of Earth. "You can do that. Just take me there." Zira nodded, her expression earnest. "Yes, but it won't be easy. It requires a deep connection, a merging of our energies. You would have to trust me completely." James swallowed hard, the weight of her words sinking in. Trust was a fragile thing, especially in the face of the unknown. But the bond they had forged felt strong enough to weather any storm. "I trust you, Zira." "Then let's begin," she said, her voice resonating with a melodic harmony. She took his hand, and they walked further away from the remnants of the fair, finding a secluded spot beneath the sprawling branches of a nearby tree. Merging worlds. As they stood together, Zira closed her eyes, focusing her energy. James felt a tingle course through him, as if the very air around them was alive with potential. He took a deep breath, centering himself in the moment, his heart beating in rhythm with hers. "Now, I want you to focus on your feelings," she instructed, her voice soft but steady. "Think of all we have shared, all the moments that brought us here." James concentrated, recalling the laughter, the vulnerability, the thrill of dancing under the stars. Each memory filled him with warmth, creating a bond that seemed to shimmer between them. He felt his energy resonate with hers, intertwining in a dance of light and warmth. Suddenly, he felt a rush, a wave of energy enveloping them. It was like being caught in a cosmic tide, pulling them away from Earth, away from the familiar. He gasped, his heart racing as colors swirled around them, bright and vibrant, creating a kaleidoscope of light. "Hold on to me," Zira urged, her voice steadying him. "We are crossing into the realm of Luren." The arrival. In an instant, the world around them shifted. They landed softly on a platform made of shimmering crystals, the ground pulsing with a gentle light beneath their feet. James staggered slightly, his senses overwhelmed. "Welcome to Luren," Zira said, her eyes alight with joy. James looked around, awestruck. The sky was a swirling blend of purples and blues, with two suns casting a warm glow over the landscape. In the distance, floating islands dotted the horizon, each adorned with lush greenery and towering waterfalls that cascaded into glowing rivers. The air was rich with the scent of alien blooms, and strange creatures soared overhead, their forms ethereal and beautiful. He could feel the energy of the place, a vibrant pulse that resonated in his chest. It was nothing like Earth. It felt alive, breathing, and full of possibilities. "This is incredible," he exclaimed, turning to Zira, who beamed with pride. "It's just the beginning," she replied, guiding him forward. "Let me show you our customs, our ways of life. You'll see that we are not so different, despite the distance between our worlds." Cultural exchange. Zira led him through the crystalline streets of her city, where structures floated gracefully above the ground, their forms shifting and changing with the light. The inhabitants of Luren were a sight to behold. Their bodies shimmered with colors that reflected their emotions, illuminating their surroundings. James felt a wave of fascination wash over him. "How do they communicate?" he asked, his eyes wide with wonder. "Through energy and light," Zira explained. "We share our feelings and thoughts, creating a tapestry of connection. Words are secondary here." As they walked, James observed the way the beings interacted with one another. It was a dance of emotions, fluid and harmonious, devoid of the misunderstandings that often plagued human communication. He yearned for that simplicity, a world where feelings flowed freely, unburdened by doubt and fear. "Can you do that?" he asked, glancing at her. "Can you share your thoughts with me like they do?" Zira smiled, her energy glowing softly. "In time, yes. But first, you must learn to feel deeply, to let go of the walls you've built around your heart." Lessons of the heart. Over the next few days, Zira introduced James to the wonders of Luren, its art, its music, and its profound connection to nature. He learned to dance with the light, to feel the energy pulsing through the ground beneath his feet. Each experience drew him closer to Zira, forging an even deeper bond. One evening, they stood together on a floating platform, overlooking a vast expanse of bioluminescent forests that glowed in the twilight. The air was filled with the melodic hum of the creatures that called Luren home. "What do you think?" Zira asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's beautiful," James replied, his heart swelling. "I can see why you love it here." "But I also love Earth," she said, her gaze steady on him. "There's beauty in both worlds, and each has its challenges." "What do you mean?" James inquired, intrigued. "Lyran has achieved much in terms of peace and understanding, but we lack the raw emotions that humans experience. Your world is chaotic, but that chaos brings depth and richness to life. It's something we can learn from." Her words resonated with him, a gentle reminder of the complexities of both their realities. He realized that in his pursuit of connection with her, he was also learning to embrace his humanity fully, the beauty, the pain, and everything in between. Facing the unknown. As their time on Lyran continued, James couldn't shake the feeling of impending change. The thrill of discovery was tinged with uncertainty. What would happen when he returned to Earth? Would he be able to maintain this connection across the vast distance of space? One night, as they watched the twin moons rise, casting a silver glow over the landscape, Zira turned to him, her expression serious. "James, there are challenges that lie ahead. My people may not accept our bond, and I need to prepare you for that." James felt a knot tighten in his stomach. "What do you mean? Are they against interspecies relationships?" "It's not that simple," she replied, her voice gentle yet firm. "Lyran has traditions that run deep. Some may view our connection as a violation of those traditions, while others may embrace it. I can't promise you that it will be easy." James took a deep breath, the weight of her words settling heavily on his shoulders. "I'm willing to fight for this, Zira. For us, no matter the challenges." Zira smiled, her energy brightening around her. "That's the spirit I admire. Together, we can face anything." The call of destiny. With newfound determination, James prepared for the next chapter of their journey. They would return to Earth, armed with the knowledge of their bond and the strength of their experiences. But he knew that the road ahead would not be easy. They would have to confront the prejudices of their respective worlds and stand strong against the forces that threatened to pull them apart. As they stood together under the twin moons, the cosmos stretched infinitely above them, a tapestry of stars whispering promises of hope and adventure. James squeezed Zira's hand, feeling the warmth of her energy flow through him. "Whatever happens, I'll always be by your side," he vowed. "And I by yours," Zira replied, her eyes shining with unspoken resolve. Together, they faced the future, ready to challenge the boundaries of their worlds and rewrite the rules of love. With each passing moment, they knew that their connection was more than just a bridge between Earth and Lyran. It was a testament to the power of understanding, compassion, and the relentless pursuit of connection across the cosmos.